What's going on, YouTube? It's Matt Faircloth. I'm here with my man, David Krulac.
How you doing, Matt? Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, man. Dave's a fellow podcast guest on the BiggerPockets Podcast. I'm here about to speak at an event here in Central Pennsylvania, and I bumped into Dave, and I was like, you know what, man, we got to catch up. And so we got into a great conversation about the real estate market, and it got into a really good conversation. I said, you know, we got to just stop. Let's stop talking and turn on the camera and share this conversation on YouTube. So, Dave, when did you first start investing in real estate?
I bought my first property in 1975.
That's the year I was born, by the way. Just but
I bought and sold over 900 properties.
900 deals. Okay, cool.
I'm still buying, I'm still selling.
So you've seen the market since 1975, right?
That's right.
The crash that happened in 2008 to 2010-ish, right? And then stalled the market out. Had you seen anything like that before?
In 81, the interest rates were really high.
Yeah.
I contracted to buy a property. I said I would accept fixed 16% interest for 30 years. Mm-hmm. I was glad when I ended up settling for only 15% fixed for 30 years.
So would properties cash flow at 16% interest back then if you were buying a rental?
It was really difficult. Sales were way down. 50% of the real estate agents quit the business because they couldn't make any money. And properties sat on the market for a long time. That property that I bought was an excellent property. It was in perfect condition. It had been on the market for a year.
Did the rates spike? Were they like where they are now, like 4 or 5, and then to 16 all at once, or was it a?
In '75, when I first bought my first property, the interest rates were 9.
Okay.
And that was kind of a standard. They stayed that. They moved up a little bit. Then towards the late 70s and beginning of the 80s, they went up even higher. I heard of some people paying 20% interest on mortgages from banks, not from loan sharks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When it fell off, did it overheat? Like we're perhaps, you know, some would say the market's a little overheated right now, but did it pick up or?
It didn't fall off like a cliff.
Yeah.
It gradually descended. Mm-hmm. You know, it went back down to 12%.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 12%. Let's buy some property at 12%.
Frenzy at 12.
Then it went 9%, and it hadn't been, you know, until the recent past that you saw the interest rates that we saw now. Even in the 60s, interest rates weren't as low as they are today. I was talking to somebody the other day, for an owner-occupant, they were getting 3.5 fixed for 30 years. Yeah. Well, how can you beat that?
Seems like a standard, doesn't it? These days, it's been around for so long. So where do you think, knowing what you've seen in the 42 years of being in business in the market, seeing what you see now, where do you think things are going? And we can talk about the residential space first, and the commercial, and also understanding that residential space you're in Central Pennsylvania is perhaps different than what we see elsewhere. But like, you know, you could speak whatever you're comfortable with, like right here in this market or nationwide, whatever. Where do you think we're headed over the next couple of years?
I think interest rates are going to move up. You know, they keep saying that in December the Feds are going to raise interest rates. I think they're going to go up, but it's going to be very incremental. You know,
might not be a bad thing.
0.25%.
Might not hurt us. That might be okay, right? I mean, I don't think that would really hurt you.
I think so.
Yeah.
And with the interest rates the way they are now, I don't think people even realize how cheap it is. You can buy a $200,000 house and your P&I is $1,000.
Yeah.
Well, you can't rent an apartment for $1,000.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how cheap the interest rates are and what an opportunity this is. And the interest rates have never been this low since before the 60s.
So you think they're going to creep up? And do you think that will stall out the market, or do you think that it'll bring it back to a healthy equilibrium, or where do you think?
I don't think it's going to move up that fast. I think it's going to be a slow, and I think the Fed is going to be conscious of what the ramifications are of increasing the interest rates, so that if things do start to get overheated, I think they'll back off and they'll stop raising the rates.
Yeah, perhaps. So you and I also, when we were talking outside before we got to talking about, on the BP podcast and on the book that you've written as well, how you started with nothing and made $12 million, right? So that's something that you guys might want to hear more about. I want to hear more about that too. So give it to us in a nutshell and then tell us about the book.
The first 11 properties that I bought were all essentially 100% financed. And the reason they were, because I didn't have any money to put down.
Right. Everybody could live with that.
I was young.
A lot of our viewers can live with it. Right.
I didn't have down payment money. I didn't come from rich parents. My parents had only bought one house in their entire lifetime. my father worked a blue collar job. He never made $10,000 in a year. He worked full time.
So you were doing a lot of like owner finance deals or private money deals to buy your
second mortgages, HELOCs, signature loans.
Yep.
There's a credit union that's locally that has a signature loan program. They still have that same program. Once you sign up for it, it's like getting your money from your own account. You just go to the teller and get the money.
It's called a signature loan program. Look into that, guys.
It's the same thing.
It's great. Signature loans are interesting. When you guys check into that. Now, you went from those properties that you had done owner financing and other kinds of different ways to finance them, and then you transitioned from there. Take us to how you got to the $12 million, and then tell us about that book you got there.
The last 100 properties I bought, in contrast to the first 11, are 0% finance. Bought everything cash.
Yeah.
In 2007, I had about 50 mortgages. And I felt like I was working for the banks. The biggest expense I had every month was writing those mortgage checks.
A lot of checks, yeah.
So I decided I didn't want to work for the banks anymore. So I sold some properties, I paid off some loans. I also was aggressive in advancing payments on the loans. And I didn't take out any more new mortgages. And so I got to the point now, I paid off a couple more mortgages this year. I'm down to 2 mortgages. So it went from 50 mortgages to 2 mortgages, and everything I'm buying cash.
Great, that's great. So you really leveraged the cash flow coming from your properties to leverage down your debt. The whole accelerated pay down thing, that's a whole nother conversation. We haven't gotten to that on YouTube yet, so that's something we'll have to get into. So you've got a book out. What's it called and how do they get a hold of it?
It's how I started with made $12 million. It's 342 pages. It took me a year to write this. Had it professionally edited twice. And it's available on my website, which is $12millionbook.com.
Okay.
12 is 1-2.
$12millionbook.com, and they can also get it on Amazon.
Get it on Amazon,
started with
Mr.
nothing.
Landlord. How I started with nothing, made $12 million in real estate.
Cool. So slow and steady, guys. A lot of people want to get rich by next Tuesday, okay? I can promise you that the real estate game is a slow and steady game. Dave played the slow and steady game, and he's here now. So if you read this book, you'll learn how to play the inch by inch, put one foot in front of the other, slowly build your wealth, and end up with $12 million or more, it sounds like, in wealth in your portfolio by slowly paying off your portfolio and consistently making the right moves over and over again. So, Dave, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great, profitable week.